It's your favorite host doing the most, and you know I love the boast. It's Mo Williams tuning in. This is Give 'em Mo Podcast, and thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a long journey. We're back recording, we're back putting out content. Season 2 has been pushed back all the way to the fall. Kind of like when we started around November. We started 11/11, November the 11th. So, we're going to push it back probably around September. But that's not going to stop us from putting out content. There's a lot going on in the world right now. I hope everyone's doing okay. These are hard times. Make sure you keep your head up. And the biggest misconception I'm seeing right now is that there's a lot of people arguing back and forth over their different beliefs. But let me tell you something about ethics and what you believe in. Whatever you believe in, whether I believe is right, whether I believe is wrong, as long as you believe is right or wrong, nothing else really matters. So whatever you choose to believe in, whatever your ethics is, whatever you think is right, believe in it and don't do it half-heartedly. Now, a lot of people may not agree with it, but as long as you're doing good, hey, do what works for you. But today we're going to talk about something that I was supposed to talk about a week ago. But, life happened. And we're going to talk about staying power versus conquering the ability to change. That is staying power versus conquering the ability to change. So what is staying power? Staying power is the ability to stick through something, no matter how hard, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how much you want to give up. Having the power, staying power, having the ability not to be moved. Think of yourself as not a rock, not a boulder, but a mountain. You cannot move a mountain. You may can take chunks out of that mountain, but it took years for that mountain to form. And staying power is like being the mountain. Staying power is like the ocean. Now you may say the ocean, it moves, it's water, but the ocean ain't going nowhere. It's big bodies of water, the sea, the ocean, whatever. It's not going nowhere. Now what makes staying power important is you're not able to be moved. Now, let's use it in terms of school or life. Staying power is not giving up and keep going. Yes, that class is hard. Yes, this challenge in life, whatever you're trying to overcome is hard. Yes, what's going on in today's time is hard. But we all need staying power to keep pushing through and keep making things happen. I see a lot of people that push for change in this world, and we're going to talk about conquering the ability to change. In order to change something, you must stay firm and sit solely on what you believe in. And if you do that with staying power and staying put and believing in what you believe in, I can promise you that you can change the world. But all of us must have staying power together in order to make something else happen. There's been plenty of times that I may have wanted to give up. And anyone who said they never wanted to give up on something, you must live a perfect life. Because there's always hard times in this life. Some days you're going to wake up, get a message, and it's going to ruin your day. Your day just started, and you let something that, yes, it's major, but it's small when it's over. You let something to start your day ruin your day. You let something to start your day shape your day. You can't keep doing that. And staying power is having a mentality. You must have the staying power mentality at all times. You may wonder, how does that coexist? Well, if you have the mindset that nothing's going to move me off my mountain, I am the mountain. I'm going to stay cool. I'm going to stay calm. The higher you go up the mountain, the less oxygen, the colder it gets. It can be 90 degrees at the bottom of the mountain, but it can be snowing at the top of the mountain. And you need to be cool at the bottom. No matter how hot you are you need to be cool at the top, no matter how hot you are at the bottom, no matter how hot you are in that moment. Make sure your mind stays cool, calm, and collected. You want everything to just be a new obstacle that make life worth living and not something that's going to knock you off your mountain. Mountains do not move. I want everybody listening right now, if you're in the stage where you want to master your staying power, you have to master being a mountain. And we all can be mountains, especially, you got the different signs, whatever you choose to believe in, whatever you need to make you stay and make you strong. This is not necessarily in terms of relationships. It could be, but this runs more deeper than a relationship. Relationships, they come, they go, you stick around, they up and they down. This is about life. And staying power is about mastering life to the point where nothing's going to move you and nothing's going to shape you. You're going to stick it through. You're going to make it happen the way that you want it to happen or the way that God wants it to happen for you. And you're going to see it through. Now, staying power is good. But you need that power to create change sometimes. And that's when conquering the ability to change kicks in. I hear a lot, I'm on social media a lot, and you see, they say we're in a revolution. Well, not to go too deep, but to touch on it and be deep at the same time is, if you want something to change, once again, if you want your rights and everything to change and everything to be respected in this world, as a black person, as a person of color, as a person of anything that has been mistreated, you must have staying power. But then you must learn how to conquer the ability to change. Conquering the ability to change and making things happen is more important. College is not for everybody. And I seen the rapper Megan Thee Stallion said, college is not for everybody. I may not quote it correctly, but do not let that stop you from achieving a higher level of education. While you're standing for something, if you do not understand how laws work, if you do not understand how government work, legislation, then you need to be learning. You need to be changing your mind, conquering your environment, conquering your ability to change and not be stagnant, and look into these things and see, how can I educate myself to further help what's going on in the world to move in a positive direction. I read something today that said this is the most upset Americans have been in the past 50 years. That's because change is occurring. I could promise you the first 6 months were pretty bad for most people. But the next 6 months, you must make the best out of them. And that's when change happens. A lot of us was locked in the house, for periods of time, didn't have much to do. In that matter of time, you have time to come up with ideas. If you have that business, launch that business. If you wanted to go to school online until you can go on campus. Even though the world is opening back up, stay safe at all times. Do not let it fool you. People are still getting sick, so make sure you do whatever you can to protect yourself. But back to conquering that ability to change. If you do not change up here, you cannot change nothing in the world, and you must start with yourself. I see a lot of people trying to influence others. In order to influence somebody else to do something, you must start with yourself. You must have self-reflection. You must understand the moment. You got to be okay with being called out when you're not doing something correctly. You got to be able to take constructive criticism. I'm going to say it again. I heard this in a message that my mother sent me. And it says, I was good at being a judge in others' life, but being a lawyer in my own life. If I can pass judgment on someone else, then I shouldn't be the most defensive person in the room. I have to be the most understanding person in the room, because to sit there and tell somebody that you are doing something right, to sit there and say right or wrong, then you must be able to handle criticism at the highest level. And a lot of us can't. That's the truth. So you must change your mentality. If you want to teach somebody something, you have to be willing to be a student at all times while being a teacher. Because we all know that your student can teach you just as much as you can teach them, but you must change. You must never tell yourself that I know too much. I heard a rapper say one time, I think it was Jeezy, he said, I know a whole lot about a little bit. And I always say, we always want to know the most. To be honest, unless you're God, you'll never know enough. As long as you know enough about what you know, and that never stops growing, then you're good. But when you try to learn everything, that's when the problem comes in. You must master thing after thing. Now, I'm not saying you can't master multiple things at once. But what I'm saying is that if you're trying to do 5 things at once, but you can do 2 and do that better than trying to do 5, then you might need to drop down to those 2, master those, and then work on those 3. And you can even break those up. But there's no reason to do anything halfway. Give it your all. Change your mind. Conquer your ability to change and your staying power, and nothing will ever move you. Even the biggest mountains have landslides. That's change. Even the higher you go up, the more the climate change on a mountain. A mountain is never just one thing a mountain is never just one thing at all times. It's always more to it. I'm going to give you a lesson on my ability to change. I used to be stuck in this cycle of everything has to be perfect until I started doing this podcast. And as you see, I just messed up. Maybe a year or 2 ago, I would have stopped recording and tried to do it all over again. But I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to try to put out here that I'm perfect. And my staying power is not always the best, and my conquering the ability to change is not always the best. Sometimes I procrastinate way too much. I could have had this video done a week ago, but I tell myself, we'll get it done at the right time. And this is the right time, but procrastination took over. There's a lot of things that we can get done, but you must master one, your staying power. And with staying power, you can conquer the ability to change. And I promise you, with those 2 things, not just change yourself, you can change stuff around you. Not just make yourself stay, you can make things around you stay. Because when you're a solid person, everything gravitates towards you. It's your favorite host, doing the most. I tell everybody, be safe, please. Please be safe. Yes, Black Lives Matter. To those who say all lives matter, you're missing the point. And I'm sorry. But I get what both sides are saying. You see both sides. But at the same time, there's a problem occurring in the world. And I hope everybody works on that as my phone rings. Let me pause that right quick. But anyway, I wish everybody the best on their journey. Make sure your staying power is solid. Make sure you can then turn that into the ability to change not only yourself, but things around you. Once again, it's your favorite host doing the most. And you know I love the boast. And I love you. This is Mo Williams. We're out. Thank you for tuning in.